Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Fiat brand, and I know a lot of people don't care for the Fiat brand here on the channel. I know that, it's not a core Mopar brand, but it is still part of the Mopar lineup, the modern day Mopar lineup. Some Fiat dealers are actually inside of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealers, but Fiat does have their own separate studios with Alfa Romeo, but nonetheless it's worth talking about because there is some very interesting news from Fiat today. So basically what we learned this afternoon was that Fiat is officially bringing the Topolino to the United States. Now, if you're wondering what the heck the Topolino is, we actually did a whole video here on the channel and on Mopar Insiders about it. Basically, the Topolino is not considered a car. It's a quadricycle vehicle from Europe. Now, it's actually built in Morocco, but it's been sold in Europe for the past year and a half. And with that being said, it's actually got two other variances. It's got an Opel version called the Rocks and a Citroen version called the Amy that goes along in Europe as well. But the Fiat version is very different. It's got its own unique looks. It kind of stands out, from the bunch, and it's just kind of a different kind of more open air vehicle than the rest. With that being said, again, it's not a full car. It's a micro EV, as I would call it, but it is very, very small. It's actually smaller than a Fiat 500. So this past summer, select dealers across the country actually got one of these units. I think there was like 20 in all together. And it just so happened that the dealer right by where I live actually got one. So my daughter and I actually went to the Fiat dealer and actually got a chance to walk around, record the video because they had one for customer feedback. And it was very interesting. My daughter absolutely loved it. Being, a teenager, she thought it was cool that she could drive it in a few months. Because what makes it very appealing in Europe is there's a couple things actually. One is the size, because it can pretty much be parked everywhere. The second is the affordability aspect of the vehicle. Now, the vehicle is made from like these heavy-duty plastics. There really isn't much to it. And it cost about 9,900 euro, which is about 11,000, 12,000 actual US dollars. So it's very affordable. But why my daughter liked it so much is that fact that in France, if you're 14 years of age, you can drive one of these vehicles because it's not a car, it's a quadricycle, and you don't even have to have a license. So it's different. I mean, it's very small. It's only 8 feet long, and it's when you look at it, it kind of reminds you of a golf cart. It was different to see it in person. I thought it was kind of unique and kind of fun in a way. But being 6'1" and over 300 pounds, I could barely fit into the seat. The seats are really narrow. You can tell they're built for Europeans. My daughter was, 5'7" and about 120 pounds, and she could fit in there okay. And then, 25 So Bella's 13 years old. She's like 5'7" for a reference of height. And if you were in France and you're 14 years old, you can drive this without a driver's license.
Oh, I could drive this in like 5 months.
Yep, you could drive this on the street. And look how much headroom you have. You actually have quite a bit of headroom.
It feels quite cramped though. The seat's pretty small.
Yeah, the seat's built definitely for Europeans. But it had a cool kind of idea to it. The thing is when you look at the performance numbers of this vehicle, it kind of is lackluster. And we're going to talk about this one here at the end. But the reason why all this stuff was brought up was because of this one-of-one kind of Art Deco version that they did for Art Week in Miami. But anyways, the Topolino itself, here's the actual performance stats. So top speed is only 28 miles an hour. Okay, so right there, it's not viable for most roads. It can't go on the highway and stuff. The range is only 45.5 miles or 70 kilometers. Now, the battery pack, this is why the range is so low. It only has a 5.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. Now, keep in mind, my 2025 Dodge Charger Daytona actually has a 100.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. So yeah, it's very small. Now, the vehicle only weighs 1,069 pounds or 485 kilograms, and it does charge using a standard 120 volt outlet. So yeah, charging speeds are not fast on this thing. It's just not. But what makes it different is it does have a fully enclosed cabin, so you can use it in all weather use. It has windshield wipers, a defroster, exterior mirrors. Basically, it's got heat. It doesn't have air conditioning because it's actually got pop-out windows. And then there is a version, the upper scale model actually doesn't come with doors. It has like ropes. So it's kind of like a little Jeep in a way. So it's kind of different, but yeah, you can see the interior in this thing. It's very plasticky. Everything's very plastic, like hard, like actual plastic everywhere. There isn't a whole lot of options. There's no stereo. You can use your phone. They have like a phone holder, so you can basically use your phone as your stereo. And there's little things that you can do, like behind the actual gauge cluster. There's a circle, like a hole, and you might think you could put a drink in it, which you probably could, but you can actually buy little things like a speaker to sit in on the dash, so you can have a Bluetooth speaker and stuff like that. So the idea behind it is to make something very affordable, cheap, and like again reasonably priced, so everybody can buy one. But when I actually had a chance to go look at the vehicle, I actually thought it was more like a golf cart. So even though people are flipping out that this is coming to the United States, there's a good reason why we kind of had a hint. President Trump had a meeting with the auto execs this past week in Washington, D.C. at the White House in the Oval Office. And Jim Farley, who's the Ford CEO, and Antonio Filosa, who's the Stellantis CEO, were there. And basically, Trump went through a whole thing about how he went to Japan recently and seen the K cars, the very small micro cars, and thought they were cute and that, and wondered why we didn't have them here in the States. So he said he was loosening the rules and regulations on those. With that being said, Antonio Filosa comes up and says about how they were looking at bringing something like that here, and I'll show you the clip.
One of the other things we're doing, it's separate from this meeting, but I think everybody here would agree with it. If you go to Japan, where I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small, they're really cute, and I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars, so you'll be able to buy they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. If you take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job, but we're not allowed to make them in this country, and I think you're going to do very well with those cars. So we're going to approve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, no, just that he never stops working, so even when it's on Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States. But he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
They're really nice and less expensive. And it really gives people a chance to have a car, have a brand new car as opposed to a car that maybe isn't so great. And so you car companies start thinking about that. I think it's going to be a tremendous market. Please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today, because it's the day where we see CAFE regulation reconciled with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles, and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Taffy, and all your team is doing in this country. We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K cars, which we are very interested in, and we are really looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
So you can see how Antonio was kind of like highlighting it. Well, now we know it's the Fiat Topolino. But the Topolino, again, is just something different. Now, do I think... I think the big thing is a lot of people are freaking out about this. I went on different like social media accounts and stuff, and people are like, why the hell are they doing this? Like, people don't want EVs. I think because Fiat sales, if we go and look at Fiat sales for this year, they're ridiculously low. They've been ridiculously low for the last couple of years. They're actually up 57% year over year, because last year they had just got the Fiat 500e. They had really had no vehicles for a while. But this year they've sold some leftover 500Xs and like only 2 500Ls. But if you look at the sales for this year so far, they've only sold 1,237 units. So Fiat is basically non-existent. So they need all the help that they can get. Now, I have personally said that I wish they would eliminate the Fiat brand and Alfa Romeo and roll that money back into Chrysler and Dodge, but it seems like they're pushing forward with this vehicle. And you might think, well, why the hell are they pushing forward with a vehicle that is only getting 28 miles top speed and only like less or just over 40 miles range? Well, again, I think there's a unique niche that Fiat is going for with this vehicle. So I talk about it in my article today. I talk about it in the article, and the reason being is I think this vehicle would be very good for certain communities across the US. And I'm talking about, I don't think they're going to push this vehicle as this is your main, thing of transportation. I think this is going to be like a fun kind of golf cart alternative for those that have like retirement communities in Florida, coastal neighborhoods in California, resort towns around the Great Lakes, college campuses nationwide, and even downtown business districts with controlled traffic zones. That's what I think it's going to be. So I think that they're going to like basically kind of push this as an upgrade over a golf cart. So, I mean, it's kind of unique that way. But again, I don't think it's going to be really relevant for Fiat. I think this is going to become another experiment to see if they can make the brand survive here. And realistically, unless they have something like maybe the Fiat Grande Panda, which comes here to replace the 500X, I don't really think this will actually save the brand by any means. But would I take one out on the Detroit, surface streets with traffic that runs 50 miles an hour? Absolutely freaking not. There's no way in hell. But I could see a retired couple, happily park one of these at their vacation home and use it to travel to the lake shore, grab some ice cream downtown, or cruise the marina or whatever during the summer months. So that's how I see this vehicle going. So again, I think there's an actual like premise to this vehicle if they market it right. I don't think they should market it as, hey, like this is just an affordable city car for you, because it will not take off here in the United States if they do that. If they compete against like GEM, which was originally part of Chrysler. Chrysler actually started the GEM vehicles, and basically they sold it to Polaris Industries. If they competed against them and offered a two-seater little fun car that you could drive little grocery store downtown and have it at your cabin or your little cottage home, I think that's what they might do. So again, I think retirement communities, coastal neighborhoods, resort towns are going to be all over this, and even college campuses, really, because a lot of people can't afford a vehicle on college campus, and parking's a pain in the ass to begin with. So this thing can fit in spots that, like I said, like a Fiat 500 can't even. So to me, it makes sense. So I'm curious to know what you guys think, but I wanted to go through this. This is the reason why we brought it up. This is basically a one-of-one little Art Deco design that was produced by acclaimed artist or Romero Brito. He basically is a sculptor, a painter, and he has been known to create the happy art movement. Basically, he does like things that are joyful and colorful and kind of fun and happy. He does what they call, cubism, pop art, and graffiti. So it's just a kind of a unique design, but it was kind of funny because Olivier François basically said, hey, we're going to build this thing. So that kind of overshadowed the whole event. But nonetheless, I do think the Topolino has its premise here. I just don't think it's going to be like the main car for everybody. I think this is going to be like a cottage kind of car, something that's different, create a unique niche. Hopefully they sell a ton of them if they can, but I don't see it saving the brand. I think the brand is basically on the verge of being discontinued, in my opinion. So tell me what you think down below. I'm curious to see what you say about what you think about the Topolino, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
So on my first visit to Romero, I was here watching the art. It reminded me of an old Fiat tagline which was joy in motion. Couldn't help but imagine a car by Brito. And that's the time we were working on Topolino. Topolino, which is this little affordable, joyful, colorful car that is now everywhere in Europe. Is a huge success. And I think it is pure joy in motion.
So my inspiration, particularly for this project that I'm doing with Fiat, is the Renaissance, an Italian Renaissance, culture, the beauty of Italy, this collection is very special. So the Topolino is going to be coming with the colors that I create several paintings, very beautiful and large pieces inspired on the Renaissance.
A good friend of mine said, "Oh, you have the perfect car for it. It's called Britolino," and which is obviously the contraction between Topolino and Brito. And when you can even invent a name for it, it means that probably it's right. I wanted him, to take Topolino's for what it is, a totally blank canvas for him to express himself.